Greetings, BUSN 1360 Software Apps for Business Students. So this video is a continuation from the first part on Module 1, Word Critical Thinking Capstone. And we're on to page 2. We finished page 1 in the first part of the video. And page 2 begins with step number 12. So let's go ahead and jump into that. I've already opened my instructions and I'm continuing. I have to admit a couple days have gone by since we completed the first part. If you're following along with me in this spring 2021 course, you know that we have lots of snow and ice right now on the ground, and there's been power outages, and we're looking for some more snow. So I hope you are warm and safe and dry as we continue this project, this grader project. So let's see, I've got my instructions open. We're on step 12 and let's jump in. Step number 12 says to click before the newly inserted section break at the top of the fourth page. And I'm going to make this a little bigger. There we go. Click before the newly inserted section break at the top of the fourth page and change the column setting to 1. Type Welcome to the College of Business and press Enter twice. Select what we just typed and apply the title style. Reduce the font size to 22. Center the newsletter title. So we have to kind of remember where we left off. Let's go back to the document. And if you recall, I'm going to scroll down. And here, this is just regular text. And then as we continue down, we have a page break followed by a section break and another section break that we inserted. So we have two section breaks back to back, and one of those section breaks, if you recall, was created when we selected some text and we told Word that we wanted it to display in these two columns. And again, this was in the previous video. And just to bring us back into it, those two columns ended with another section break. And a section break is exactly what it sounds like. It divides your document into different sections, and those sections can be formatted differently. So between this section break and the one earlier, we had two columns. Now. Okay, and that was the end of page 5. But we did have this section break as well as this one. And in the previous video, I did point out to you that this section break was added at the time that we divided and created the document into sections and created the two different columns. And so the reason that's important is because our instructions say click before the newly inserted section break at the top of the fourth page. And so this is the fourth page. We can verify that down here. And this is the section break that was newly created. I am clicking before it, which means that we're not in the section with the two columns. What I want you to see is my cursor, my insertion point is flashing before this particular section break, but after this one. So in other words, I'm in this little in-between section that doesn't really have any content yet, but I'm in this little section between those two section breaks. So it says click before that newly inserted section break at the top of the fourth page and change the column setting to 1. Now it may already be at 1, but we need to check. Here's layout, columns. Nope, it does still have two columns, so we're going to change that to 1. Now you notice it didn't affect anything after that section break. It just simply expanded that section break to let us know that this is the end of one column, not two columns. So we changed that to one column, and it told us to type Welcome to the College of Business. And we want to check our spelling and capitalization so that the grader does not take off. Then they wanted us to press the Enter key twice. 1, 2. Then it said select the Welcome to the College of Business, and that was this entire paragraph. And we want to apply the title style. And so from our Home tab, if we look, you see here is Title Style. And so there's our title style. But they also told us to reduce the font size to 22. So you can either click on the drop-down box or you can click inside, type 22, and press the Enter key. Whichever way. If you want to instead click on the drop-down box. Why is it beneficial to know to click inside? I've emphasized throughout these videos that I like to show you faster methods, and so that way you don't have to wait for that menu to display and all that. Another reason that that is good to know is you do see that there are font sizes, 12, 14, 16, 18, on down to 36, and then it starts jumping, 48, 72. I don't know if you know this, but you can certainly stick with those fonts or those sizes, and those are sizes that the fonts know how to react to, and so you're kind of guaranteed for that to be smooth. But you could also type in a font size of 50 or 70 or 21 or some other size that is not visible there to get the size that you desire. So just a little tip for you there. That completes step 12. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to return to my instructions. Step 13. Add a bottom border with a weight of 1.5 to the text, Welcome to the College of Business. So I'm going to return. And I'm just going to click anywhere in this paragraph. I'm not going to have it selected. And I'm going to apply a bottom border. So in my paragraph grouping, you may recall that this is where your borders are. And already I can see that the displayed picture shows only an underline at the bottom. And so I could theoretically just click on that to apply a bottom border style. But they did emphasize that they wanted that to have a weight of 1.5. So I just want to double check that that is the correct weight. So instead I'm going to, if clicking the actual button, I'm going to click on this little drop down box, and I'm going to go down here to Borders and Shading. And you see that the default is 1/2 rather than 1.5. So I'm going to change that and select 1.5. And then the way that I get my bottom border is, you may recall, I can just click and see how that's under what they were showing here. It's just the bottom. And then I'm going to click OK. And there's my bottom border, and it is at the required 1.5 point size. I'm going to save that. That's another one of our steps. And let's return to the instructions. Pictures and graphics in step 14 are included in newsletters, adding interest and style. I'm going to pause here, and perhaps in the previous video you may have felt that I made light of preparing you for the quiz, and my goal was just to introduce a little humor. But I do want to emphasize that within our instructions, we are typically not informed or educated. We're typically being asked to apply something. So I know that as part of this greater assignment that there are 2 steps, and that the second step is going to be a quiz. And I have told you that the quiz is based on this greater assignment. Now, this is my first year in this particular version of the textbook, so these assignments are still new to me. We did use the book very successfully last semester. But I'm kind of giving you that little hint, that little nudge to tell you, hey, this is important. When your instructions inform and educate, we might want to pay attention to that, because that might come in handy later on. So I want you to be successful. And so they're telling us again, pictures and graphics are often included in newsletters, adding interest and style. Even so, those objects should be incorporated relatively seamlessly with the surrounding text, requiring that you wrap text appropriately and size graphics so they are attractive but not overbearing. So what do they want us to do? They want us to place the insertion point at the beginning of the second body paragraph on the 4th page. And there they're going to have us insert university.jpg, often pronounced JPEG, So this will be a picture that we're going to insert, downloaded with the project. So remember when we downloaded at the beginning, you're very familiar with that from your graders. This was a picture file that you saved to your computer. Hopefully in a very organized fashion, right? You've got your folders. We've talked about that in previous videos, and you're organizing. I am working with a couple students right now, and this is not unusual, and I just point this out to help us all be more successful. Oftentimes, if we just save things to the downloads file, or maybe we're even storing them in the OneDrive, our cloud storage, and we're not really paying attention. We just put them there because, we know we're working on them, and we know because we're working on it, right? We know. Unfortunately, over time, and especially when you're tired and you've been working, and I know that you folks are working all day and you have families and all these different responsibilities, and the more stressed and overwhelmed we get, it's very easy to lose track of all those files. And so if you take the time, and I know time is precious, but if you take that time to organize, it's kind of one of those things where it will save you time down the road, because you won't have to pick the wrong file and or you can't find the file that you need. So I do urge you to use that proper organization. Okay, so I've talked on that several times, but I really do want to emphasize that. So after we insert the picture, they're going to have us apply a picture style and have us resize it and then select square text wrapping. So let's do that. Let's go back to our document. And in my document, it said the second body paragraph on the 4th page. So I can see down here in the corner that I'm on the 4th page. Here's the second paragraph, and sure enough, it begins the College of Business. They asked us to click there. This is step 14, placing the insertion point before those words, and then we're going to insert a graphic. So I'm going to click on Insert, and we're going to go to Pictures, and we're going to choose, it's from this device, right? Now you have to know where you saved it. And so I'm going to navigate to my flash drive, which is where I save, I have a little thumb drive, USB drive, and I have a folder that I created, and you see all my work is nicely organized. And here's my folder, Word Capstone. And it knows I have several files in this folder, like Word documents, like this particular Word document. But we told Word to insert a picture, so it is only going to show the picture files to us. There's the university file. I'm going to click Insert. And there it is. But you can see it is a little disruptive in the way that it flows, and so we're going to format it to make it a little nicer in the way that they've described. And they said change the picture style to reflected rounded rectangle. And you'll notice that I have this new, as long as the picture is selected. See that picture format? If I click into a paragraph, I don't have that anymore because it's not relevant, because I'm not working with a picture. But as soon as I click my picture, Word always brings that back. So now I can click that. I have that ribbon, and that's where I'm going to find these picture styles. And as you hover over, first of all, Word will show you what that would look like if you were to select it, and that's a very nice feature. But they asked us to find reflected rounded rectangle. So I'm going to expand all those choices, and I'm looking for something that's reflected. That one's beveled. Let's see, reflected, but they also said rect. Here it is in the first row. I should have found it much more quickly. I bet you all did. So notice that the first row, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one over, reflected rounded rectangle. So I'm going to click that, and you see the little reflection, and that the picture now has these rounded corners. So I have that. And then they said to resize the picture to a height of 1 inch. And again, my picture is still selected. I'm still on this picture format ribbon. And at the far right hand side, I'm just going to type 1.00 and press enter. Sure enough, it's 1 inch. And so you can see it's a little smaller now. And our text looks funny because it's at the bottom of the reflection of the picture. And so what they've asked us to do is to change the wrapping. I'm a big fan of right-clicking to find the wrapping menu icon, you can also, you see it floating over here. It says layout options. I'm going to click on that. And here are my different options, and they wanted square, and that's this one. Okay, now to get rid of that, I click that again, and I'm going to click away so that you can see it. And see how now it's a little tighter? It follows the square of that picture. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to return to my instructions. And that should complete step 14. Let me scroll down a little bit, and let's go on to step 15. Place the insertion point after the period ending the first paragraph on the second page, which ends in upon graduation. Press Enter, remove the first line indent, insert a 2-column by 6-row table, and change the width of the second column to 1 inch. So let's return to our document. And they said, second page, I'm on the 4th page. And if I click, once I click in the document, then the page will update to tell me where my insertion point is. So I've clicked in this page, and I see that I'm now on page 2 of the document. And first paragraph on the second page ending with upon graduation. First paragraph of this page, and here, oh, I'm sorry, let me pull that up a little higher. Ending with upon graduation, and they want us to click after the period. So I'm going to click there, and you see my insertion point is flashing, so that whenever I start to type or insert, that's where it's going to go. Press Enter. Remove the first line indent. So I talked about this extensively in the first video, so I won't go into detail again. What I will say is that you can just go up, put your mouse pointer right in the middle of that first line indent tool, drag that back so that it's all in alignment, and you can see how my paragraph changed. Now that I've done that, it says to insert a 2-column by 6-row table. So insert table, 2 columns, 6 rows. I'm going to click that. And it says to change the width of the second column to 1 inch. Now, my table selector is over here. I'm going to put my mouse on top of it and right-click. And then I'm going to go to Table Properties. From the Table Properties dialog box, I need to make sure that I'm affecting the correct thing, which in this case is the column. And I want to make sure, see how it says Previous Column, Next Column? I have 2 columns selected here, so I'm going to say Next Column. And you see the purple highlighting back here? That means that column 1, so Next Column. And now you can see column 2, and I'm going to change that 1 inch. Voila! I'm going to save and return to my instructions. Okay, so I think we completed step 15. Let's scroll down here a little bit to step 16. Type course in the top left cell, press Tab, type grade in the next row, press Tab, and complete the table as shown. So we see we're going to enter, it looks like, some courses and some grades. And this looks like somebody's done some good work here with some grades. So let's return to our document. Oops. Okay, I'm looking for my insertion point, which I believe is there, but let's just see. I'm going to type course and then tab, and then I'm going to type, what did they say, grade, tab, and see how it's going through my table. And then I'm going to type INT period, microeconomics. Check your spelling. Very easy to make a spelling mistake. I'm tabbing, just as the instructions said. And I believe I'll just kind of double check my spelling, and I feel that I've entered all that in correctly, and I'm going to save and I'm going to return to my instructions. Step 17. Insert a row above the first row in the table. Merge all cells in row 1 and type Major Courses Completed in row 1. Apply Align Center to align to the row. Okay, so we'll have some formatting. Let's break this down and just kind of do it one step at a time. Let's return to the document. It said insert a row above the first row in the table. I like to do this by selecting, all the cells in the row, keep my mouse on top of the row to right click, then I have this insert option and I can choose to insert a row above. And see how it did that? And then it said to merge all cells in that new row 1, and you notice that I have a couple tabs up here. I have Table Design and Layout because this would apply to the table. And what I need to do is to merge those cells. So that's going to be under Layout, and then I'm going to look for Merge. It's always nice to take note. I can merge, I can split the entire table. So I'm going to merge. And you can see how the dividing line is gone now, and that's one big cell. Okay? And in this, merge all cells in row 1 and type Major Courses Completed. And then it says apply Align Center. Now I've discussed this in depth in previous videos. We want to avoid going to the Home tab and clicking Center, or if you know the keyboard commands for Center. We don't want to do those here. We're focusing on the table layout, and Align Center means both horizontal and vertical alignment. So Align Center is different than aligning something to the center. Okay, so little word speak there that we need to know. Okay, making sure I got that. It's selected. Okay. Apply a table style of Grid Table 4 Accent 6. Okay, so we need a table style, and I think that is going to be back under Table Design, and here's our table styles, and they're guiding us. They're saying row 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Grid Table of 4, so actually probably down one more. Yeah, Grid Table 4, it's the fourth one under Grid Table. And then column 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, very last column. And that's the one, Grid Table 4 Accent 6. Yes, it is. Click on that. Pretty red. And center the table horizontally. Now, centering the table is different than centering content within the table. Whatever is selected will be affected. So we want to click to select the table, and then we can go to Home and Center. We are centering the object that is the table horizontally across the page. So that's horizontal centering. That's where that comes in. Save. Let's go to our next instruction. We're on to step 18. Add a caption below the table. The caption should read, Table 1, Major Courses Completed at the University of Arizona. It says do not include the period at the end, and make sure we center the caption. So let's return to our document. So I still have my table selected, which is fine. And when we're talking about things like captions below tables, we're really preparing an official document where we might have citations and references and things like that. So, that helps me understand to go to References. And as I look across my references, I'm going to find Insert Caption. I have here at the top, it's already filled in Table 1, but they do ask me to put a colon at the end of that, and then a space, and then Major Courses Completed at the University of Arizona. Now, let's see, they said do not type the period, which we didn't. double check my text, my spelling, my capitalization. Hope that, so that's good. So hopefully the grader doesn't tell me that I'm going to have to fix that. Yes, okay, it did say add the caption below. So I can see it says position. Right now the default is above the selected item. We want it to be below the selected item. Now it also tells me to center the caption. I don't see that I can do that within this dialog box, so instead I'm going to click OK. It is below, but I want to make sure I center, and if I go to home, remember horizontal centering, just click that button. So I think that looks good. I'm going to save that. Let's return to our instructions. And I think we completed all steps of step 18. So on to step 19. Create a custom watermark to display at a diagonal with the text copy in blue. It says column 8 in standard colors. So that's step 19. Let's return to our document. Under Design, we're going to go to Watermark. And as I look, I see Confidential, or some of the built-in ones. It says More Watermarks, so I could look. Well, I don't have that. So I might have to create a custom watermark, which is actually what they said, a custom watermark. No watermark text. We're going to use text. Their suggested text is ASAP. That's not very nice, so we're going to type in copy. Let's see, did they specify a font? I do not see that. They did specify, it's a size, they have auto. It did specify blue. It says from column 8 in standard colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not, down here, standard colors, I'm sorry. And, okay, that's dark blue. This is blue, so this is number 8. And they wanted it, they did specify diagonal, and so you can see that that is selected. And I'm going to click Apply. The difference, in case you're ever wondering, between Apply and OK is that Apply keeps the dialog box open and allows you to continue to work. So I applied it. It does look correctly like what I want, so I'm going to just close. Okay, so I can see that. I'm going to save that. I do want to, I like to kind of show you these things, and so I just want to kind of go from page to page so that you can see that that watermark is across all the pages. It'd be very hard for somebody to, sketch that out. It takes so long to do that, right? Okay, so very good. There we were. We saved. Let's return to our instructions. Step 20. Check spelling and grammar in the document. Correct the spelling of analyze and the hyphenation of analyzed, and the hyphenation of first time. If the check does not suggest a change for first time, then manually correct it in the second to the last paragraph in the left column on page 5, changing first time to first time. Ignore all other grammatical errors. Now, let's go back to the document. You may recall, and this is just something that I've learned from years and years of experience working with Word, that I like to move to the very, very top of the document. Of course, you can do that by first you click anywhere in the document, and to get to the very top, Control Home. And you can see my insertion point is up there at the top because I want to make sure that Word checks the entire document. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to move all the way down. When I'm checking spelling, I am often reviewing, right? And from previous versions of Word, you may be used to the giant spell check button. It had like ABC and then a check mark, and it was always over here in this left side. But it's part of the review process, right? In the 2019 version, hopefully you've noticed from our previous work that from the book that they call this editor now. Now, that is fine, and I'll use that, but I want to remind you of something that will help you. Two things. Remember that I always right-click, and that helps me. It reduces my workload of having to learn on each version of the software, where is that menu item? How can I find it? So right-clicking is going to give me a context sensitive. The menu is relevant to whatever I've right-clicked upon. But I think since the last version of Word, I think they have started this help. And if you were up here, for example, and you typed spell, right? I haven't even typed it all. And there's that familiar looking icon, and it says spelling and grammar. And what I could do is I can just click it from right there, and boom, it executed the spell check right away. And if you'll notice, it refers to it as editor, which is exactly, so we would go into that the same way. So for example, let me close that and I'll click editor. And boom, you see it's the exact same process. Now our instructions said to fix the spelling errors, and they identified 2. I see that it has only identified 1. It found analyzed, and it's basically saying, do you want to fix that? And I do. Let's see, here it is right there, right? Okay, so now I have only 9 things, and it looks like my spelling is kind of perfect. Let's see what I find with grammar. Well, choice I'm okay with, so I'm going to say ignore that. Okay, so under grammar, after I ignored the first grammar, and they told me to ignore everything else, it did find first time. And so now I could they told me I could just go in here and manually fix it, but I wanted to show you that. Let's click that. So it fixed it. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm going to close that editor box and I'm going to save. Okay. Here we go, back to our instructions. So that was step 20. How many more steps? We only have just a few more. Let's see how we can do here. Replace the dash dividing the words organization and Fortune 500 in the first paragraph on the 4th page with an M dash. Do you know what an M dash is? You should from your reading, right? That is describing not a hyphen, but a dash. How big is the dash? It is the size of the letter M. How big is the letter M? It depends on the font that you have chosen. So they want us to insert an M dash between organization and Fortune 500. So let's see, that was on the first paragraph of the 4th page. So let's return to our document. I'm on the 5th page, go up here to the 4th page, and 4th page, first paragraph, organization and Fortune 500. Now, I'm going to make this bigger, and for a moment, I'm going to turn off my non-printing characters because I really want you to see this dash. And this looks like right now it looks like a hyphen. I've selected, I'm typing a hyphen on my keyboard. Yeah, it looks like no change whatsoever. So that's a hyphen. I don't want a hyphen. I want this M dash. So I'm going to select it again because when it's selected, whatever I type or insert will replace what's already there. So I'm going to click on Insert, and I'm going to go to Symbol and More Symbols and special characters. So first of all, you can see there are symbols that you can insert here. A great way to find even more symbols is you can pick a different subset. So you may find all kinds of things here. Oops, I hope I didn't just insert something that may meet your need. Like notice that mathematical operators. So depending on what you're doing, geometric shapes, you may find all kinds of things. But what we need for our purposes is special characters. And notice it's the very first one. And you see all kinds of very important symbols. Sometimes Word is smart enough to figure them out, like the copyright symbol, registered or trademarked. So you see all kinds of special symbols here. If the M dash was something that I used frequently, then I would want to remember the keyboard commands for that, which is Alt, Control, Num. Right, the numlock key, in other words, to make sure I'm typing the minus sign. So really kind of Alt Control hyphen, okay, would type that automatically. But I have it selected. Let's click Insert. And it always looks like nothing happened, especially because it tends to insert it behind there. So that's what it did. And if you don't realize that it's just done it, you might do what I used to do, which is I would say, I don't think it's done it. And I would click it a whole bunch of times and it would just keep on inserting it there. And I would say, what? I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm going to close and I'm going to, you can undo, or I'm going to just delete. Oops, that was one too many. So then I'm going to undo, and your keyboard command is Control Z for that. Okay. Now, if I turn on my non-printable characters, I can see spaces or dots. There's no spaces. It's organization M- Fortune 500, and I believe that is the way they want it. And if not, the grader will tell me, but that looks correct to me, so I'm going to save that. We really are doing this together, and I am human, and I do have different computer issues. I want to interject a quick note about the word grader 3, and that was where we were inserting formulas and doing mail merges, and my computer for some reason was displaying the formula rather than the answer, and it was displaying the field rather than the answer. I had to go into print preview to show you that it really was working. I found out the reason why. The reason why is because these videos that I'm making, remember I'm on my home computer, were building up in a temp file that I really had to search to find, and it was using all of my disk space. So my computer was struggling to make that display, which is a temporary display, right? So it was struggling so hard to do that it just couldn't, and so it just displayed the formula and it just displayed the field names. So I'm so sorry for that, and I appreciate your patience, and I hope we are learning that together. Okay. Anyway, so I have my M-, and that looks good, and I've saved. Let's return to our instructions. Step 22, select the paragraph beginning with, I hope you will accept the challenge on the last page, including the paragraph. Okay, including the paragraph mark when we select, I hope you will accept the challenge. And then apply shading of red, accent 6, lighter 60% to the paragraph on the last page. Let's return. And let me make this just a little bit smaller. And let's go to the last page. This is the last page. Where does it say that? I hope you will accept the challenge. Oops, here it is. Last page. I hope you will accept the challenge. But what it actually says for me to do is to select the entire paragraph, including the paragraph mark. So I'm going to triple click. Got to do it real fast all together. Boom, boom, boom. When you triple click, that's a shortcut for selecting the entire paragraph. Notice that it did select the paragraph mark. And they want red, but they want a very specific red. So I'm going to go up here, click the little drop down box, and what is this one? It's red accent 6, but I need 60%. And there it is. So you see where I'm got my arrow pointed, red accent 6, lighter 60%. That's very light, but that's what they wanted, so I'm going to click the Save button. And let's return to the instructions. We're almost done. Let's begin a mail merge, and it's going to work this time because, like I say, I cleared the temporary files off my computer, so it's going to work. Let's begin a mail merge, selecting recipients from an existing list, which we downloaded, called Graduate Schools, and this little XLSX is a sign of things to come. This is an Excel spreadsheet, and you're not even using Excel. You're going to use Word to pull information from Excel, and so if someone has provided to you this Excel spreadsheet, you don't have to know Excel in order to use this. In fact, I was in a meeting just yesterday where we were getting a list of a bunch of information from a system, and it said, how do you want to download this file? And one of the options was an Excel spreadsheet, and then we used that Excel spreadsheet to create a mail merge. But we didn't create the Excel spreadsheet the computer created it. We were just able to use that in Word to make a mail merge. So it was great. Okay. It's telling us very specifically that we're going to have to select sheet 1 and it'll have a $sign, sheet 1 $sign. Sort the data source in ascending order, and we're going to do all this from within Word by university and filter. Okay, so let's go back to our document. And they didn't tell us where to go. So I guess I'm just going to keep that text selected, but I am going to do a mail merge, and so I'm going to assume that's under mailings, and right, and then start mail merge. And I just love this. I love this that you have the wizard. The wizard is so powerful. It makes things very easy for us. But it told us we're not going through the wizard. It just told us to select the recipient. So we're going to do that. We're going to use an existing list, and for me, I have that on my flash drive. So I'm going to change to my flash drive, and for me, of course, I put it in my Capstone folder, and there's Graduate Schools. Click Open. There's sheet 1 with the $sign. You're going to learn more about this just in the next chapter. And so we've selected our data source. Sort the data source. So let's edit that. And so I clicked Edit, and then these are the things that are in my data source. It looks like a bunch of universities with their area of the country and the kind of degrees that they provide. And down here it says Sort, and they want us to sort, let me click that, by university, ascending order, and filter. Okay, so I'm done. Oh, then I can go to filter. And filter to select only those universities with an area equal to W. So that's west, right? So I changed to the filter tab. I'm going to click area. It says equal to. That's exactly what I want. Of course, you have other choices if it was like tuition price or something like that. Equal to, and it says compare to, and capital W there. And was that it for that? Yes, I'm going to click OK. And you can see that that means only these 2 universities. It's already filtered it, and I'm going to click OK. Now, that takes us to the end of page 2. We could stop here, but we have just a small amount left. So if you'll bear with me, let's just keep moving forward to complete this last little part. I'm going to go back to my instructions. So we finished that. Let's go to step 24. It says to replace university name in the first paragraph on the 3rd page with the mail merge field. Be sure to include the brackets as we replace this text. Ensure that a space precedes and follows the newly inserted university field, the placeholder. Preview the results and then finish the merge, choosing to edit individual documents and merging all records. So let's go back. And I think, what did they say, the 3rd page, and I am currently on the 5th page. So remember, it'll still say 5th page until I click, and now it's telling me, yep, this is in fact, I mean I can see here, but this is in fact the 3rd page. And here I see university name, and I've carefully selected the brackets on both sides, not the spaces. If you do, you just remember that you're going to have to insert those later. So now that it is selected, I want to replace it with one of my fields. So I'm still on the mailings tab. I've already selected my recipients. I edit it to sort it, and as I move across here it says insert merge fields, and I'm going to insert university. Now, okay, do you see how it didn't display the name of a university? It displayed, I just clicked one time, and it's highlighting the whole university and those little special arrows on the side because it's telling me this is a field name. And I'm going to save that for a moment. And this is what my computer had trouble doing last time. But look at this, preview results. Last time when I clicked preview, my hard drive was so full that it could not temporarily show me the database names, and I'm so sorry for that. But now you're getting to see that it absolutely can. And as I have this preview results button pressed, remember we only had 2 records. So I'm advancing to the second record, and you see the different university there. And if I advance again, I can't because there were only 2 records. But I can go back to, if I had 10 records, then I could. Okay, if I don't want to see that anymore, if I want to see the fields, then I just click that again so that I'm not previewing the results. Now let's see, what did they want me to do? They said preview the results and then finish the merge, choosing to edit individual documents and merging all 2 of the records, right? So here's finish merge, and this is where, and I love this, I can edit individual documents. I could print those documents, or I could send an email. If I had an Excel spreadsheet, for example, with all these email addresses in it, then I could send emails to the person. But they asked us to edit individual documents. They did say all. Click OK. Now, once again, I want to point out to you, and I discussed this a lot in the previous video, that you're in a different document. And if called letters 1, this is not, my pretend student name. And I want to emphasize, I'm not working with a special teacher account that marks everything correct. Not at all. I have a demo account, but it is a student account, right, that the publisher allows me to have specifically so that I can demonstrate things like this for you. And so my pretend student name is Betty Baker, and this is not my Baker working file anymore. It's called letters. And if I point to this title bar and press my mouse down and drag, then it just makes this a little smaller so that you can see there's my working file behind it, right? This is where I had the field. See the field there, university, in my Betty Baker file? And this one, and that document was 5 pages. This one is 10 pages because it created 5 pages for the one university and 5 pages for the other university. It's all in one big file so that I could now make some edits if I needed to. I could do whatever I needed to do. And if you see here, University of North Carolina, and it's on page 3. And if I continue on, the first document was a 5-page document. And see how it even started over at page 1? This is completely set up so that, you could print all these out and then mail them, whatever the situation is. But if I go now again to page 3, which Word realizes is actually the 8th page, but my page numbering helps me to understand this is page 3. There's my next university. So you see that. Now, what would they have us do with this letters file? Because when we submit into our grader projects, we only submit one file. So let's see what they ask us to do. Go back to the instructions. We previewed the results and we merged all records. So now it says select the entire merged document, just like we did in our grader assignment for that chapter. And then we switch back to our working one that will begin with your last name. For me, Betty Baker, my pretend student, it begins with that last name. Move the insertion point to the end of the document, insert a manual page break, and at the top of that new page, when you created the manual page break, we're going to paste that content. And the original document to which you pasted the merged data now should contain 15 pages. The 5 original plus the 10 we just created. We're going to save that, and then that's going to be the file that we submit. Okay, so here's what they're saying. They're saying go back to letters, select everything. How do you easily, quickly select everything? Keyboard command, Control A. With everything selected, you want to copy. Now you can click on copy, or you can keep your mouse on top of those pages and right click and select copy. Either way. Now with that letters file there, I'm going to go back to my working file, which for me begins with Baker because that's my pretend last name. They said go to the end of the document. Isn't that what they said? Move the insertion point to the end of the document. How do we get to the end? Click anywhere on a page, Control End. Right now I know that I'm at the end because I told Word that's where I want my insertion point to go, and it did it. And it said insert a hard page break, right? Insert a manual page break. Keyboard command, Control Enter. Then it said to paste. We know how to do that. We can either use the paste buttons, or I've told you many times, Control V as in victory. Control V. I should have a 15-page document. I do. I've steadily worked on my home computer to resolve problems, and I appreciate your patience. But you can see, that now that my hard drive, my computer is not just filled up with video files of videos I've created for you, that it's working so much better. So I have that 15-page document. Says to save it. I'm going to save it. And then it says I can close that. I might just keep letters there just in case I need it. I shouldn't need it. Should I close it? What the heck? I'm going to close it. Why not? Am I going to save it? It doesn't say that I need to save it. Don't save. Now, I'm going to point out one more thing. Where would it save this? Do you see that it's trying to save this into the cloud, into OneDrive? When we're talking about uploading, we are not talking about saving to your OneDrive. We're talking about into MyITLab. Now, you are certainly welcome to use OneDrive. It's one of the benefits of being a college student at Southwest, is you have this great storage space with OneDrive. But you got to know where you're saving your files, and you have to be able to submit them into MyITLab. So I'm not going to save that file. I think we're about ready to submit, so I'm going to return to MyITLab. When we come in to this, which we came into it one time in one of the earliest videos, I demonstrated to you that I just uploaded the file with no work done, because I was speaking to you that there's two things in this assignment. So when I click it, I am first going to see this capstone grader, but I have to remember that just because this is grayed out now, this critical thinking quiz, that it doesn't mean I don't have to take it. It means it's not going to be available to me until I first pass the grader. So we got to make sure and pass that grader. Okay, now remember that when I just uploaded the document with no work done to it whatsoever, I got 3%, right? It said I completed some steps, but in truth, things like that happen when I'm not paying attention to where I saved my file, and I get confused, and I downloaded it over here, and then I copied it over here, and then I saved it there, and when it came time to submit, I went back and submitted this one over here rather than the one that I had been working on. So be very careful with that. But you guys are pros at this. You are pros. You're going to click on this grader. It opens this new window. We've already downloaded, we've already done our steps. Choose file. Now, here again, be very, very careful, because if I was just to quickly grab this file where I saw my pretend student last name, I will get a 0, probably, because this is for chapter 4. This is where organizing your work is really important. This chapter 4 is not what I want. I need the capstone. So I'm going to go back to my flash drive. Remember, I put that in the capstone folder. And this app capstone, Word app capstone, that's the proper file. I have to be very, very careful with that. Open. Now, this is another thing that very oftentimes trips students up. You have to upload, you have to wait until it shows you that success. And where students get tripped up is they then close that tab, leading to 0 points, no submission. Because what did you not do? You didn't submit. Very, very, very important. Submit for grading. It says close. Oh, that time the close button worked, so that's good. Now, it says 3% still, but it's also still showing that I have only submitted once, and we know that I've submitted twice. So in order to check my grade, I'm going to click the 3 dots and then View Submission. Well, how about that? I got a 96%. Now, I want to fix that because I want you to get 100%, but before I do, I want to show you something. I want to go back to Course Materials. Let's go back to Word 1 Grader. I'm sorry, Word 1 Critical, Module 1 Critical Thinking. Remember, this has two pieces. I'm going to click it. And look at that. 96% is considered passing. And once this has been passed, now I can go into the quiz and I can complete that quiz, right? So I just wanted to show you that once MyITLab sees that you have passed, then you can go on to the quiz. Remember from the overview video that I provided for you, or you can simply look at your syllabus, you can see how the points are distributed between these two pieces, okay? Now, 96% is a good score, solid score. As you know, I only require you to get a 70% or above in order to be passing. But I'd like to show you, you make mistakes, I make mistakes. We're all human. Sometimes we misread instructions or skip an instruction, or just quite frankly do something wrong. And that happens, and it's okay to say, I wonder what I did wrong. That's how we learn. So I want to go back, and I don't want to make the video too long, but let's just see what the mistake is. 96%, so I'm going to click this. And I really do want to point out a couple things. Okay, we've looked at this a number of times where we can go through. What was the mistake? Here it is. Click before the newly inserted section break at the top of the 4th page and change the column setting to 1. And see, I'm wondering, did I type something wrong? Press enter twice, select it, and apply the title style. Reduce the font size to 22. Now, look at this, I earned 6 out of 7 points. What did I do? Some little something. What was this one little point? Oh, did I forget to align? Why do I forget that all the time? Oh, I did. I forgot to center again. Okay, we're going to fix that in a moment. But while I'm here, I do want to show you one other thing. If you find that it is difficult to read the feedback within this, I wonder if you've ever explored the live comments report. This is just a different way of looking at your errors so that you can fix them. And notice that instead of just my last name, it begins with LC for live comments. And I clicked it. It's opening. It begins with, It begins with overview. Remember, it was a mail merge, and so you get those messages when your Word document is connected to a data file. And so this is my working, work document, but it's going through, and it's going to show me my errors. So far so good. This first page was just a summary page. I'm sorry, that's why. So you can read that summary page, but I'm looking through my work, and I'm looking for something like this. Project error, 1 point deducted in instructions, in instruction number 12, because in this paragraph it was not centered, right? So I can see that if I click here, see how it's left aligned, but maybe you find this a little bit easier to look at this live comments rather than the other way that it was displayed. So I wanted to just remind you of that. I can't submit that file because it's all marked up. What I will do is just reopen my Betty Baker file. Now, I want you to think about this. Okay, I get this error message. It's not really an error message. It's saying, warning, this is connected to a database source. Do you still want that? Yes, I do. But now I want you to think about something. We started with a 5-page document, didn't we? But this is a 15-page document because we used it to create a mail merge that created 2 copies of it. And we took those 2 copies and we pasted them at the end of this. So my point is that on page 4, when I failed to center this, not only was it not centered here, but it would not be centered on the copies, right? So here I'm going through, I'm going to find that again. See? Not centered, so I need to center, and then I should have it in here one more time. So that error, was duplicated because of the mail merge that I copy and pasted into the document. So I fixed it in each location. I'm going to save. I make mistakes. I do. I'm human. You're human. I give you unlimited attempts, don't I? that allows to support the learning. That's the goal. I'm going to go back to course materials. None of us are perfect. That's okay. We learn together. We learn. Module 1. Open my assignment. Choose File. Make sure I'm in my correct folder and that I'm selecting the file with my last name for Word App Capstone. Upload, which is not the same as submitting. Wait for success. Submit. Oops, I don't know why that button doesn't always work, but just close your tab. Now, it still is showing only 2 attempts, so I need to give it perhaps just a moment to grade, but I'm going to click on that. How fast is that feedback? Isn't that great? Oh, I still have a mistake. Wonder what happened. So I'm up. I got a 1 percentage point more, so let's see. What am I forgetting or not doing? Uh-oh, okay, here's where I missed some points. Select the paragraph beginning with "I hope you will accept the challenge" on the last page. I knew that shading did not look right. I knew it didn't. Okay, so I think I see my mistake. It said apply shading of red, right? I mistakenly changed the text color to red, and that was wrong, and the grader pointed that out to me. So I'm going to tell you how to fix that error. I'm going to go back to my document, and I knew when I selected this, I said this cannot be right because that is so difficult to read. Now, I believe this text was probably just basic black when we started, but just to make sure, I want to put the formatting back on it as it was before I started to format it, and it was formatted exactly the same as this paragraph above, right? So, you know, I'm going to click in here. I'm going to click my Format Painter, and I'm going to paint this text to put it back the way it was, which was probably just a basic black. Okay. Once it's back like this, I'm going to select it again. You could triple click. Remember we did that. Come on. It said to make sure to include this paragraph mark. And instead of my font colors over here, I am so sorry, I should have chose shading. So in my paragraph area under shading, I want to find that red accent. There it is, 60%. We had the color right, just didn't have it on shading. I accidentally put it on the text. Click that, and you can see that it shaded it. Okay. Now, you can repeat that setting, but remember we have that in 2 more places in our document. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to go find these other occurrences. Where is it? Did I pass it? There it is. I know I passed one of them though, didn't I? I'm going to triple click to select that, and I'm just going to paste right on top of it. Okay. I mean, otherwise you could select it and do that. I think I passed this other one. I need to make sure. There it is. Triple click. So you have to get all 3 clicks. Select it. And then again paste. Okay. So that way I've got all the formatting set up in there. I'm so sorry, but I make mistakes. I am human. Now I really want that 100, so come on. Say, Dr. McGrory, we got to get it right this time. 2 little mistakes. We're going to clean those up. Going to go for that 100. I want it. I want that 100. Choose File. Select my correct folder, correct file, open. Upload, don't forget to upload, which is not the same as submit. Wait for the success, submit. So how about that? My fourth attempt, my first one was a demonstration to show you I had done nothing. My second attempt, I made an error. I fixed that. Realize we have another, problem. So fix that. So here's the fourth attempt, 100%, perfect score. If I can do that, then you can follow the steps of the video and you can do that as well. But I'm not done. I need to go into the badge. I'm not going to complete the quiz for you because you can do that. Okay? I do just want to show you one thing. This is obviously my first time opening this quiz, so we'll see. 10 questions, right? Now look, these are some of the things that you did. It says using the grader project you just completed, answer these questions. Why is it necessary to insert a section break on page 4 before the text that is formatted in 2 columns? So I tried to talk to you about some of these things and why they were the way that they were, and so I hope that that was helpful. I gave you those explanations without knowing the test questions, but I hope that that was helpful because we want to make sure that you're understanding what you're doing, because the point is you're not going to have an instruction sheet like this when you're on the job and your boss is asking you to do something, and it's not even that your boss is asking you to do, it's that you need to create something to support work getting done, to support a project you're working on, something like that. And so you want to have that knowledge and that how to and why within you. So I hope that this video helped, and I appreciate you all. I really do. I hope you're warm and safe and dry on this snowy, cold, icy day. Stay safe, folks.